All right, so this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the rise in 30-something-year-old dudes finding God, and finding, in particular, specifically, right, Christianity. It's amazing to see. I really love seeing it. But what I witness is a lot of these guys and these women, right? They lived their entire lives, their entire adult life, as and most of their childhood, right, as these little dictators, these little tyrants that were always right about everything, that would always tell you what to do and would dismiss you and make themselves feel superior and you inferior. I witnessed this my whole life, on the receiving end of it. And now that they're in their 30s, now that they're going downhill, they find Christ. And that's amazing. I really, trust me, I'm not being an a-hole here, but I really enjoy people finding Christ, seeing it at least, right? But it's so funny to see the type of person that is all of a sudden waking up. It's a very fascinating thing because there's like a combination of things happening. One, either they're married and they've got a kid, or they haven't and they're like, oh no, like what am I doing wrong? Like what's actually going to help me in this situation? And they find God, they find the Lord, and then also they're aging, they're getting older, they're not as attractive as they used to be, and they're slowing down, so they don't have the energy to party like they used to chase tail, to do certain things, and so and also they've done so much of those things, the partying, the chase and tail, the materialistic lifestyle of working whatever job makes them six figures or more, and loving the pursuit of the money and just that adrenaline rush, that dopamine cycle. And now they're in their 30s and it's not pulling the same amount of weight that it used to. And they feel like something's off. They're like, I'm feeling some emptiness there. And even though I've done the money thing, I've done the family thing, I've done the partying thing, and I've done the chase and tail thing, and it just doesn't satisfy me. What is it that I'm truly seeking? And they find that, they come to realize that is a relationship with Christ. Now, many, I've seen some people online, it's because of the struggles that they have, and we all have our struggles, right? I'm not shaming anybody for struggling with the flesh, which is what we all do, but they've got struggles, and those things are getting in the way of them in some way, right? They're feeling the pull of these vices in a negative way, and in a way that like they might not be able to control it, right? And for a long time in their life, they've told themselves, they convinced themselves that they were controlling it, and that they were in control of this pursuit of living the me life, and now they've just realized, actually, I'm not that much in control. I've got some issues. I've got some arrogance, some pride, some some lust, some gluttony, some, blah, 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 all the deadly sins, whatever. The way I treat people needs to change, stuff like that. And that's great. That blossoming self-awareness of your brokenness and your sinfulness is a good thing because that leads you towards Christ. Okay. But this is what I also see. All right. I see these people with the same confidence and arrogance and self-righteousness that they had when they were pursuing the life of me, right? That same confidence translates right over into this new walk with God, this new relationship with Christ. And they start preaching it. And they start telling people what to do. And I don't see much change. Now, look, I'm not the judge of another man's heart. That would be truly arrogant. But when I see a pattern that keeps repeating itself, there's something there, right? So that's what I see. I see these guys that are just allowing their pride to continue, but just now in a new direction in which they think they're right again. Now, the old direction, when they were going this way, they thought they were right. They thought they were correct. And so they lived that arrogantly and confidently. Now they've switched. They've done a 180. And they're like, you know what? This is actually true. And they just barrel down that road with the same amount of confidence. And what you actually want is an adoption of self-criticism that makes you continually reassess. As my buddy says, I'm always reassessing, right? Instead of just that one reassessment, like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, I've gotta build a relationship with Christ. Like, that's what I have to do. No, it's an everyday, okay, how am I wrong today? How was I misguided in that conversation I had with that person today or yesterday? Reflecting all the conversations that you had in the past. That's where you grow. You can have an initial movement towards growth, right? It's a little bit of growth in that just getting off the wrong path of selfishness, the me path, and then on to something geared towards your Creator and how He wants you to live. That's a great step. That's the first step, right? But then there's steps every day. And when you read the church fathers, it really allows you to see your own lack of self-reflection, your own lack of contemplation and awareness of really how prideful you are, how deceitful you are, And these 30-something-year-old dudes finding Christ, I see a divorce from the one path of me, materialism, hedonism, nihilism. Pick your poison. It can be all three. And into theism, right? Honoring and valuing the transcendent. There's that divorce, right? But it doesn't seem like there's any type of reconciliation, right? Some reconciliation. So if I were to ask, let's ask Gemini. Define reconciliation. I did not spell that correctly. So according to Gemini, which is Google, so you never know when Google's lying to you. Reconciliation is a term with several distinct meanings, but at its core, it generally refers to the process of bringing two or more things into agreement, harmony, or compatibility. Okay? That is a very hard thing to do, and that is what I'm witnessing so many people not do because they're new to this diversion, like diverting from the me path to Christ. And it's understandable, but that is the process that you're on now. Reconciling the old life to the new. It's not this, okay, cool, I now am aware and accept the magnitude of God and my minusculeness, right? My minimal, like my smallness. It's a daily habit of reflection and daily reconciliation, right? Now, how do you do that? Well, I think the hardest thing to do is to see Christ in everybody, but that's a start. Like, hey, let's start with the hardest thing. See Christ in everyone, right? Is that being done? Are you reflective enough? And look, I don't know what this life is. I really don't know what it means. And I say this with humility because I empathize for people who are on this trajectory. The trajectory of, I'm in my 30s, I have forsaken God in every way with my mouth to everyone I know. And now I'm doing a 180 and I'm professing Christ with my mouth and trying to with my lifestyle, with my actions. I don't know that life because I've always had a relationship with Christ. Now, that being said, that doesn't make me any better than them. I just don't know what that is because I didn't experience it. I can assess it from the outside, and I can look at it, and I can see things, and I can make really good judgment calls from the outside. But as a personal experience that I've gone through, I haven't. So I don't have that that personal experience that can give me insight into it. But so many people I know are like that. Now, here is an issue, okay? A lot of these people, because of their confidence and their pride, they begin to lead. And that is where a lot of problems begin to arise. You're new. You're new. You take a seat. Sit down and learn. And don't preach. Don't preach it. In fact, you'll have more people ask you about you and why you're this way and what makes you this humble. That's what you should be asked, right? That's a goal in life, right? What makes you this empathetic towards others? What makes you this concerned about others, right? Because Christ tells us to love God and to love our neighbors as ourselves. When someone asks you, what makes you so concerned about this person? Like you could just let them go. You can say, because Christ teaches me differently. And I know that he's right. I know that that's right because I finally came around. You know what I mean? I was in the wilderness. I was in my selfishness. And I finally came around. But that's another step along the road, you know? And what I see is, you know, they're trying. And that's a great thing to see people try to progress. It's an amazing thing, but just check yourself if you're trying to start leading, you know? That's not, you know, it's cool. And you know, maybe obviously there's always exceptions to the rule, but you know, for the most part, I mean, think about it. Think about it. You spent 30 some years of your life denying God, denying Christ, denying anything valid about Christianity. 30 years. Okay? And now you've changed your mind. Wow. Right? Wow. That's crazy. That's a wild thing. You can't just gloss over that. You can't just be like, yeah. Then I found Christ. Yeah, it's great. You know, I just accepted Christ and, you know, changed my life. And no. There's more to it. There's more to you and your pride that you need to look at. I got mine. I definitely have mine. But this is what I see. And this is what you should see as well. 30 some years denying Christ. Okay. Wow. What was that? Why was that so strong? Why was that so strong in me? And every day moving forward, I have to wrestle with that. Because that's still there, dude. That is still there. That's always going to be there. Whatever it was that was in the way for you is always going to be there. And so that is your like tool that is going to help you grow. Always wrestling and maneuvering with whatever vice you have. Pride, whatever. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, it's all pride. You know, at the end of the day, it's all pride in some form, right? Expressing itself in this way or that way. How are you going to deal with that? You know, for me, I have to pray. My best days are when I pray in the morning and I remind myself all I've gone through, all I have, down to the shirt on my back, getting some type of physical activity in, eating healthily, so I'm not, you know, misusing my body that I've been given, and then building the relationships that I have in my life. And that's hard. I just named the hardest things you're ever going to do in your life. Building a business? I mean, have you ever had issues with a parent where you don't talk for months, years? You know, that's hard. Fix that. Yeah, fix that one. That's a hard one. You know, pray every morning. Thank God for the smallest things around you, you know. I used to sleep on the floor because of my back. And I still do occasionally. And when I say my prayers at night, before I go to bed, before I go to sleep, I thank God for the floor that I have. And that really centers me, like just like, okay, calms me down. It's like, wow, thank you for the floor that I have. And I have to do that for me, for my own pride. I can get in my head and think I should have this, I should do this, I should be here compared to this. But when I start thanking God for the smallest things, from my body to everything out, from my body out, this shirt, this hoodie, these blue light blocking glasses, the floor I'm laying on. Thank you, God, for this. It kind of recalibrates my pride, So there's levels to this game, and like I said before, when you read the church fathers, the great thinkers of the faith, it gets deeper and deeper. But it's kind of like and I know that a lot of people know who this guy is. Mike O'Hearn. Okay, Mike O'Hearn. Mike O'Hearn's a lot of things. Okay, this dude is like notorious for not saying he's on any gear. And I mean, it's kind of silly. But I understand he's from that old school mindset where you just never say you're on gear. But when you listen to him talk about lifting weights, it's a really deep thing. Like, he's feeling it in and connecting to like his muscles and like his body in such a way that like most of us are not thinking about. And when we look at if you look at a bodybuilding program, you're like, okay, bench, flat bench, incline bench, flies, pullovers. Okay, cool. I'll do the movements, I'll increase the weight. He's over there like thinking about the muscle fibers in his pecs, you know what I mean? So there's depth to his relationship with training that most people don't have, mainly because most people don't enjoy it as much as him, don't identify it as much as him, don't make it a daily habit of reflecting and really like letting it enter, like entering into this state of like meditative analysis. You know what I mean? Contemplation. So anyways, when you read the church fathers, it's kind of like Mike O'Hearn talking about bodybuilding. It's kind of funny. Anyways, that's a joke, but kind of true. But anyways, yeah, so the 30-year-olds, it's a wild time right now. I love to see people come to Christ, but that's only step one. Don't stop. Don't stop there. There's more power going on. There's a lot of power there. And the more you see it, the more humble I feel like you can grow, and we've all got a relationship with humility that we shrug off. We lie to ourselves and say, it's not that important. I know, because I do it. And it's undeniable. But anyways, those are just thoughts.